Hey, what's going on, everyone out there? Super excited to be joined by my good friend Victor Gallegos, man. What's going on?
Hey Joji, good morning. It's early, but we're out here gold mining, which I think miners wake up early to go and search for gold. So I think we're doing it right.
Absolutely.
I'm just really excited about what we're about to find. So
Yeah, I mean, BookMine's updating every hour, so why shouldn't we be up early? There's gonna be books that are dropping in price, and there's gonna be great deals early in the morning, and there's gonna be these little pockets of time, right, where there's probably not so many people using it. Where hey, you might be able to strike gold, right? So
oh,
yeah, we're
exactly.
super excited to jump into BookMine, and with that said, let's get started. If you're somebody who's watching this in the future, check out the links in the description. There is a link to try out BookMine over the next like 36 hours. You can do that absolutely free. There's also the BookMine YouTube channel, which we will be posting a bunch of content there as well. So with that said, Victor, let's just get right into
Well, we
BookMine.
already have two good mornings from Scott and Denise.
Scott and Denise, good morning. Good
Good
morning. Good to see
morning.
you. Uh,
Michael. Michael, how
and
you doing?
Michael,
Good
very
morning.
excited to be here. So again, in the description, if you guys want to try out BookMine for the next about 36 hours, you can just enter an email address and you get access to it. And then also make sure you go over to the BookMine YouTube channel. We've got a bunch of videos that are going to be dropping somewhat soon. And we can tell people are excited. There's already 100 subscribers, Victor. We haven't even posted a video yet. So
We're about to. We made videos. They're just
yeah,
being
yeah,
edited. So
they're being
yeah,
edited.
yeah.
Yeah, we're excited for those. I think they're going to be a major value add. But today, Victor, let's just go ahead and search, the newest listings because we know this updates. How often is it? Every 8 hours? Every 24 hours? How often does this update?
Compared to our competitors are once every 24 hours, this is once an hour. So yeah,
Once an hour.
just this last hour. So all this is fresh data.
Cool. So, well, we're going to just take a look at some of the first books. So, remember, you guys have a keep a snapshot here, and this keep a snapshot is something you could use to do like some really quick sourcing with just your eye. There's already a couple books in here that definitely want to look at just from looking at the keep a graphs, but we've got a lot of indicators up here on the right, which are going to influence the BookMine score. Can you just briefly talk to us, Victor? BookMine score between four, like what is BookMine score? What does the
Mhm.
number mean?
Yeah. So for those who don't know about what our software does, basically it ranks books from 0 to 10, and anything 4 and above shows up actually on BookMine.
Yep.
So we rank the any score above 4 and above basically have some potential of
All right.
actually being a really good book. So they have to have some type of indication whether or not it's close to selling out, or Amazon's about to, or Amazon just got out of stock. It happens to be the lowest price ever, or it actually is a really good price currently. All
Right.
that stuff goes into one particular. All these algorithms happen, and then produces one score. So this first book that's a 7, that's a really good score.
Yeah.
Basically this is the top 0.001% of all the books, and we wanted
Right.
to show you that, and it's first up on BookMine. So
Yep. So the first thing you can see is we got a used price. This U colon price just means this is the used price. This is going to be the on price for $55.19. So you don't have to worry about, sometimes when you are looking at books, Victor, it might say like $27 up here in Keepa, but then it's like $20 shipping. You're like, just wasted all my time. So we were actually able to get the all in price, which is actually just something that will save you guys a little bit of time. It's just a cool little feature that we really like. So what we can do with this book is kind of take a look at the most recent sales rank drops. So we take a look at, let's say, November. You can see we've got one, two, three sales rank drops there. Looks like the lowest price was 125, 93, and 93. And again, right now on Amazon, this is 55. So that's like literally half, less than half, which is the reason why this book came up on BookMine. Now, anything else that you're seeing with this book, if we look further back in time, Victor?
yeah, I mean, well, well, for a little bit there, Amazon was in stock, and then they went out, and
Yep.
basically also that this book can't stay in stock; it goes in and out of stock just
Yep.
altogether. So it's a good book to, even if we decide right now not to buy this book, it's a good book to track because it
Yep.
goes in and out of stock a lot.
Yeah. What I'm seeing back in 2020 and 2022 is actually kind of crazy in this book. I see the lowest use price well into the 140s, even the 160s with sales rank drops. And sure, there were times when it was a little bit lower, but Victor, was this low price there for a long time, or is that kind of
No,
more momentary?
which is great to see. Whenever the price kind of dips down quite a bit, there's tons of
Right.
demand for that book, and even
Yeah.
at the higher prices, it's still selling. So
Yeah, it's
that's
still
also a
selling
good sign.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
So this is a book that has sales rank drops even as high as the high 200s, which is pretty insane. And you can see it kind of went out of stock for a while, and this is what I call a juicy book. Victor is something that cannot stay in stock. As soon as it comes
Right.
in stock, boom, it goes right out of stock. So you
Yep.
can see it comes in at 100 out of stock, 99 out of stock, and then you can see even here uh, will literally come in stock and then just go right out of stock. So we're here at what was this again? We're at $55.19. We can kind of just take a look at the Amazon listing and see what's going on with this book. So by the way, it's about 300 herbs or indications in. Yeah, so this is a book that's probably it seems very niche. Let's see, it's for medicinal plants. Okay, so
Okay.
there's going to be certain population that definitely is going to want this book, and we can actually see there's a few offers there, Victor,
Yeah.
at that 51 plus shipping. We got a prime offer at 56, and it goes up to 66. And I mean, if you take a look at this book, Victor, what would you say about like the current supply of this book? Is it like super high relative to the past? Is it low? Like what does the offer count kind of
I
look like
mean,
to you?
relative to the history of this book, it's pretty low. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't have any issue with that. The
right.
price is really good. I don't see any specific issues. I think the reason why I don't even know why the price just dropped right here. It must be a pricing war, but it's
Yeah.
actually a pretty good price.
Yeah, because if you look at the price, right, it was $240 in January,
Yeah,
and then it just dropped down to 69. And then it looks like someone came in new condition at $60.73. So one thing you might want to double check is just to see if that new condition is on the listing, which it doesn't appear to be. We can go to filter, we can uncheck use and just click new. So it looks like there's one prime seller at 73. Do you think that offer is gonna stick around for a long time?
no,
One
it's not. And also, you have to kind of see that this book is in 2003, right? So it's a pretty 21-year-old book. I don't
right.
know how this one particular person got a new copy of that book, but
Yeah.
that's not here or there. But this book is definitely a book to I would purchase it.
I would
I don't
purchase
know.
this book
Yeah.
as well, due to the fact that it just holds great long-term historical value.
Hmm.
Going back to what you said about that new copy, one thing that I noticed about this, Victor, is that this
Yeah.
guy also has pretty bad. Oh wait, actually, never mind. I thought it's at 70%. That's 700. Okay, so somehow he got a new condition copy. You know, Victor, there are people out there who buy books in used condition, selling them new condition,
I know.
and we would not recommend doing that at all. But
Right.
that's kind of what could have happened here. But
Yeah.
regardless, this is a book that, if you look since 2019, there really hasn't been a time where this book has been cheaper than what it is today for a sustained period of time. Like,
Right.
sure, Victor, we could zoom into this period of time. How long was this book $18?
Yeah. Like 2 weeks at most. Oh, I mean 18. Oh,
Yeah.
a second.
Like literally less than a
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
might have been what, $50 for about a week,
Yeah. That's what I was
right?
going to say, about a
And then
week.
you can
Yeah.
say, well, how long was the book $21 here?
Yeah, not long. I mean,
Right.
those are probably the intervals that Keepa checks the book. So more than likely it sold pretty quickly, and,
Yeah.
and then we waited around until Keepa checked on the book again. So
Yeah. And so you can see right offer count today is right around 7 people selling this book. So let's just go ahead and just say, what would we want to put in for this price? So we're for 55.19. This is definitely a book that you'd be spending more money on. Although I would kind of see this as a book that holds value, right? It's kind of like
yeah,
an asset in my opinion. Like it's
right.
been out since 2003. What would be a price that you would be comfortable like selling this book for? Like what would you
I
try to
mean,
sell the
for
book
me,
for?
definitely over 100. I
Yeah.
don't know exactly there. Maybe one. I would have to kind of study a little bit more there. Maybe 120, 110, somewhere on there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you're right on. I also what I love about this is there are sustained historical sales well above 150, even in the 200s at some point.
yeah,
So I think this book has a lot of upward trajectory, especially due to the fact that it's at a low offer count. So if it were me personally, I'd probably list it at 120 at the cheapest, and I might even go
right,
up to like 199. And I absolutely would not be surprised if it sold for $200. Now it might take a little bit longer, or it should take a little bit longer if you price it that high, but I think there's enough historical data to show that it could do it. And I sell books like this all the time. So really awesome that this had amazing historical value in the back. And by the way, you actually notice do you see this on the bottom of my graph here, Victor? This little dash line here,
right.
black and yellow
Yep.
line. What is
Yeah.
that for somebody who's kind of a little bit newer to Kiba?
So what that is Joji, you're tracking this book. Basically, it's letting you know, hey, you're tracking this book.
Yep.
Just so you know. Yeah.
Yep. So I'm tracking it for $40 in used condition. And actually what you'll see is I actually got notified here back in October 12th. That's I guess unfortunately I wasn't able to buy. It looked like it was there for a few hours, 66.67. So I could have bought it. And then look, the next sales rank drop was at 125. So I mean,
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that's a one way to really, make sure that you're using BookMine correctly is that you'll come across a lot of books that are potentially going to be profitable for years to come. And so what you're going to want to do is make sure you track that product for a specific use price because again, how many opportunities did you have to buy this book for under 40 bucks, Victor?
Not, I mean, every once in a while, but only very, very temporarily. Like
Right.
literally, it's just for like a
Like it,
couple,
like
probably like 20 minutes or something.
yeah, like
Yeah,
20 minutes, right? So,
yeah,
but there were like 3 times where it got
right.
that cheap. But
Yeah,
guys, remember the only reason why I got that cheap for such short period of time is because people understood that it was an absolutely incredible deal, right?
right,
Kind of the reason why this isn't selling out super fast is because even though it's a good price right now, it's not like $20. It's like $50 is still a decent price. It's just, it's undervalued, but it's not like undervalued like if it was 20 bucks, right? But
right.
awesome book. That was the first book, Victor.
Yeah, I know.
And by the way, that wasn't even a BookMine score of 10. That was a BookMine score of 7.
That's
But
right.
again, that came up because of this great price, indicating that its current used value relative to past historical sales was awesome. Okay. Now, Victor, how do you go about this? If you're a user, you're using BookMine, are
Yeah.
you looking out off the score? Are you looking off of the keeper graph? Are you looking off like how many greens and red, indicators that are here? Kind of, what would be your strategy for moving down here?
Well, I think that the software on its own is really powerful. So I
Yeah.
already know that whatever is on here is definitely already past a point of, okay, I don't have to really look much more into the data. So the next thing I'm looking at is the Kiba chart. Basically,
Right.
I'm wanting to see how the Kiba chart has been in the last 6 months and if any of this is really interesting to purchase. So I'm just kind of like scrolling. Okay, let's
Yep.
look at that book. Let's look at that book. And so I'm like opening these tabs and then checking
Yep.
them out.
And, what would you say that the, like, accept rate or, like, what percentage of these books are good? Like, are we saying that every one of these books that is shown here is a buy? Like, you should just buy it without doing any research?
No, and I don't recommend that for anybody, right?
Yeah,
That should never be the case where it's like if I would give you a book to go and buy, you should still do your due diligence and look at that
right.
book. So what we're doing is we're getting you 80 to 90% of the way there. You still got
Yeah,
to do that last little bit to just verify that everything is in, kosher before
yeah,
going to purchase it. So
absolutely. So, here's a good example of that. Here's a second book. This is a book I wouldn't buy. I mean, you can see from basically January all the way to September, it's kind of hung out at the lowest use price, right around like $5 to $10 plus shipping. Looks like there was 1 or 2 sales ring drops here in September at 50, which is kind of the reason why BookMine pulled this because we are looking kind of at the last 6 months worth of data. So it's like saying, okay, well, it's about 11 bucks. There was a sell for 50 bucks. That's kind of why it's bringing it back. It was a little bit inflated there, but we do see it had some seasonality. And again, if we kind of expand, what are you kind of seeing with this book over time? Is this a book that holds a lot of value?
I mean, it goes up and down a lot, but mostly it's been at a lower price. So
Okay.
it does every once in a while sell for maybe $15-$20, but
Yeah.
definitely not a really high priced book.
Yeah. So I mean, I see sometimes where maybe it's sold for 39, sold for
Yeah.
26. Here it looks like it's sold for 35. So it's possible. Like if you bought this for 1160, we are at a pretty low offer count relative to past historical data. You have a sell at 50. All we're saying is that this isn't a book that excites us as much, but there's still, I wouldn't buy it, but if you did buy it, I would consider probably not the best buy, but you still might be able to sell it for 30 bucks just
Yeah,
because there is some historical data there, right?
exactly.
Okay.
Flipping it with Cisco said, "What's up, Joji?"
What's going on, Cisco? Man, it's been a long time. I hope you've been
And
really
no, he
well.
said the same thing. Missing you, buddy. Long time.
Yeah, missing you for a long time, man. It's been, yeah, we gotta connect behind the scenes, man. Good. Thanks for being here, man. Really appreciate it. All right. Um, can you kind of talk to us about, what does it mean when we have these green indicators? Why is some of these, dark green versus light green versus medium green, and then why is there also some red
Yeah.
here?
So we try to make it as simple as possible. We try to make
Right.
an interface as beginner friendly as we can be, right? So dark green, really good. Light green, pretty good. And then when it starts getting into red, that's not as good, right? So the oversupply that
Yep.
that indicates this book is definitely not doing very well. Like it's gaining more used offers and not as many sales. And then when
Right.
it's really dark red, which you won't normally see because most dark reds won't be on this chart, but every once in a while they'll make it on. And that is, if it's a dark red, means like, yeah, that you really need to like verify that everything else is right about this book because there's at least one indicator that shows that this book is not doing so well.
Very cool. So I'm gonna scroll down. Let's look at this book that has a score of 6 here. Looks like the all-in price is 33.89. So BookMine's telling us this is a great price relative to past historical sales, but it's also telling us that it's in oversupply. So what we can do is kind of again just go to the Keepa listing, and we can kind of take a look at again. If we look at the last 6 months. This is the why BookMine's pulling up, Victor, is we had some sales in the 70s.
Yeah.
We had to sell at 80. We had to sell at 55, and then you can see that actually this book did drop in price down to $12.20, and now it's kind of hanging out at 29. So um, definitely that one copy that dropped down to 12, that was super undervalued
Yeah.
relative to historical sales. You can see in July and August, right?
Mm.
This was kind of really cheap, probably because that offer count went up really, really high in the past. But this is something that has had historical data in the recent past, specifically in September, October, selling for like 70. So, how much weight do you give to books that kind of see like a maybe a somewhat sustained period of time where they're kind of cheaper like that?
It kind of really depends. After that, I want to go and look at what the title of the book is and the
Right.
pattern, right? So I want to
Right.
look at that point when I don't know, I don't really see a pattern yet. I'm going to look at the entire history to see if I find a pattern, and then maybe read the title to try to get some clues here. So when I'm seeing real estate, I'm like, okay, well, I know the real estate market has been going up and down. Maybe that explains it, right? There's some
Right.
periods where the housing prices have been too high and nobody really wants to go into real estate, and there's other periods where it's been doing really well. So
Yep.
maybe that's also tied along with this book.
Yep. So you can see
Yeah.
this book came out in 2004. I mean, again, factually, September and October at low offer counts, it can sell easily in the 70s. So that's kind of why we're bringing this book back to you. If again we kind of expand our historical selling data in the past, you can see this was moving really well back in 2017, 2018. And, for a book that came out in 2004, that's still, over a decade. That's still a long time for this book. You can kind of
Yeah.
see over time, Victor, this offer count, even though it is ebbing and flowing, it's overall kind of trending downward.
Which is a
So
good
this
thing.
is this is something that me personally I would probably track because I think that it's possible that this book can get super cheap like this. And knowing
Again,
that
yeah.
this has been selling for 2 decades, um, and doing so pretty well, if we could pick up maybe a copy like $7 or $8, that'd be awesome. So again, using BookMine to track books in the future is going to be a really valuable tool. What about you? Would you be buying this book at the current price?
I
Current
wouldn't
spot?
buy it at this current price, but I would buy it again at that much lower price, at the ten
Right,
dollars or less range is what
right,
I'm interested in. Yeah,
absolutely. And even if you did buy at 33, I mean, it's possible, right? This is in September, October. It's possible. Like, I mean, the goal would be to sell from the 60 to 80. So it is possible, even if you bought it for 33, even though we're not recommending you do that, it is possible that it could still do somewhat well there.
yeah.
Okay, let's look at this because this is
A book might score a 4, right?
Bookmine score 4, and so we're gonna tell you don't sleep on Bookmine scores of 4 because basically what we've said here is that this is a book that relative to its past historical sales, its current price is undervalued. It's just not like insanely undervalued, but Victor, but what also is going on? What else is going for this book?
What added to this book is that we have short supply. So we're saying that soon enough, this book is really dropping right now, and if this
Right.
continues, that the price is going to spike because usually they're inversely related.
Yep. So you can kind of see in November you had an increase in offer count, and now you're seeing the exact opposite. So now you're seeing an offer count got up to like 22, and now it's all the way down here to about 11. So
Yeah.
it's about half of what it was not too long ago. And so you're like, wow, this is a book that's really selling pretty quickly. I mean, literally within what would that have been? Within about a month and a half, Victor, we have about half the people who are selling this going out of stock. Not only that, Victor, the price is still going down. So
Yeah.
it's like you have two really interesting factors. You've got the book starting to sell it more quickly, but then you also have the price going down at the same time.
And that's pretty
Now,
rare. That's a unicorn where the price is still going down and the used
right,
offer count is going down. It's kind
right.
of wow. Yeah, it's great.
And so we're not that far away, Victor, right now from offer count of 5 or 6. And you can see
Mm.
that we've got historical sales that are 47,
Yep.
46, a couple there in the mid 20s, right?
Right.
So we've got precedent there. Now, obviously, you can see it that if this sustains at a higher offer count, it's probably going to stay right around what the price is today. But even at an offer count similar today in the 10 to 14, 15 range, you can still see that the book's used to value is hanging out right around the 20s. And kind of what are you seeing with this book over time, Victor, in terms of its velocity and sell through rate and also kind of its use price?
Staying consistent the
Yep.
entire time. It's selling a ton, and it's going up and down, right? The use offer count, right? Basically, it's going up and then it goes back down. But overall, it's actually trending down. So all good signs. In fact, the price is going down, also a really good sign.
Right.
Um, I mean, if I can find a really good copy here and then see what I could sell it for, I mean, that probably that my next up, like the next thing up for me.
Yeah, it's a hardcover. It came out in 2004, so it's not going to be a textbook, which is good news. Meaning that it's a book that's gonna hold value. You don't have to worry like about a new edition or anything. So
Right.
1368 is what you had to buy it for. Right now it is buy boxed at $36. And again, kind of the reason why BookMine's saying to look at this is just to check out what that offer count's doing. Now, this book doesn't get too insane, Victor, when the offer count goes low, but some books, Victor, get insane when the offer
Oh
counts go really
yeah,
low, right?
because if you're the only person or you're one of two
Yeah,
people, you can really kind of name what you want, right? Name
yeah.
what you want to sell it for.
So there's definitely potential here. I mean, I
Yeah,
would say at a low offer count, you're probably looking in the mid 30s to high 30 range. I think that's a
yeah,
conservative guess at a conservative estimate at a low offer count. Again, no one has a crystal ball, Victor. We don't know if the offer count's gonna go back up. We just know that it's trending downward. But if let's say we could look in the past, right, and let's say this book at a low offer count is consistently selling for 50 or 60, then Victor, this would be an absolute amazing book. And that's what we mean, right? You guys still got to do the last 20%. And that's where your keep a foundation is really gonna help you out, right?
right, right,
Um,
exactly.
by the way, we do also have a website, bookmine.co. So if you guys wanna check out the website, feel free to do that over there. But we also have a really cool feature, not a feature, we have the BookMine Academy, which is gonna be coming out soon. Victor and I have been filming tons of videos to help you guys with your foundational keeping knowledge and just some general things that to be a value add to you guys, and that's gonna be absolutely free. So that's coming out. It'll be on the website. It also will be on the BookMine YouTube channel. So make sure you go subscribe over there. There'll be a playlist for the BookMine Academy. But going into like more nuanced things like this where, BookMine can't really teach you that thing because of the our limit on data. I mean, this is something that will really help you, scale to the next levels, like making those decisions based on past historical data. So let's just kind of wrap up this book, Victor. Would you be
Yeah.
buying this book at the current price? If not, what would be a price you'd want to buy it at?
I think we're close, which is why that book says close, right? I
Yeah,
I think if it was just slightly lower, I want it slightly lower in price,
yeah,
and that the offer count, staying where it is, or even slightly lower than that. Like it's
yeah,
close to where I want to purchase it, so I'd probably track it and then
yeah.
see where it goes from there. I do have a question from. I mean, Gary has a question. All right,
What's
good
up?
morning, guys. Can you take a moment to discuss how you each choose a price at which you track a book?
Ooh, yeah, really, a really good price. I think Victor is probably going to be a little bit of it's going to be arbitrary to some degree, right? Because
Right.
Victor and I, we've got experience reading between the two of us hundreds of thousands of keepographs, right? And
That's
doing so
true.
really quickly.
Right.
And so I think we'd always be pretty close as to kind of what we're looking for. The way I think about it, Gary, and everyone else is like, I'm really wanting to get a good deal. So I'm always wanting to track it for where the book in the past has historically got to, like the low point. So if I kind of look over time with this book, I know that its low point is almost always hanging out right around the dips here, right around like the $2 to $3 plus shipping. So for me, it's like for a book like this, I'd probably be tracking this book for like 7. If this book is $7 free shipping, then in
Wow.
my eyes, that's a cheap enough price that I
Yeah.
could definitely even sell it in like the mid 20s and I'll be profitable. So I don't even need it to go to that higher, more inflated price. Now, with that said, Victor and I are different. So I'm not sure, Victor, what you would track it at, but I'm always looking at kind of when are the low points, when are they sustained? And again, we want those low points to kind of be a shorter rather than like longer periods of time. We don't really want to drag it out. We want those books to kind of be undervalued for like a shorter period of time. But what would you be tracking this book for?
So what I'm trying to do is look for the lowest price that that book has sold for in the last year,
Okay.
and then go and look at the second last year, like so this year and then last year, and then see where that is, and then make a tracking price close to that. So whatever
Okay.
that is, I'm looking for that. So we're close. I mean, in the same type of prices, but that's how I kind of come up with it. Where's the
Cool.
lowest point? Because more than likely history repeats itself. So
Mhm.
it's going to happen again. I just need to wait. So I'm going to put that price in, and then forget about it, and then in 4 months I'm going to get an email
Yeah.
letting me know to go purchase that book. So
Yeah,
that's how
and
I
and
think of it.
and this is a close book, right? This isn't we're not saying this is like a home run book because this
Mhm.
this book, it definitely holds a little bit of value, right? It's not like bottomed out at like $3 or $4 like forever. Like it has some price fluctuation. It's got a decent amount of volume and sell-through rate, which is why you see the used prices go up and down. But that's the kind of idea how we would do it. I'm sure we'll find other books that are going to be a little bit better to track there, but not a bad book, right? It's a close book. That's why it has a score of 4. It's like, hey, look at it because you don't know, right? Victor, that book in the past at a low offer count could have been selling for 50, 60, 100. Like you have no idea. That's why really quick glance at it would be super helpful to you.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and scroll, Victor, kind of slowly. Is there anything,
Sure.
any one of these books here that you just catches your eye and you're like, yeah, let's just take a look at that real quick.
That what is it, Kathleen? That looks pretty good. Definitely the one underneath that one too is pretty good. I mean, that
Ooh,
one's really good. It has tons
okay.
of
Let's take
demand
this
on
one right
that
here.
book. Yeah.
Okay. So this one also has a score of 4. So kind of tell me what's going on here with the reason why this probably got a 4, just off
So
the bat, like trying to simplify it for everyone.
yeah, which is awesome why this happened. Because over here on the left, the keeper graph shows it's really great. But if you look at the right, it tells you it's oversupply. So it already should give you a yellow flag. Hey, I'm going to click on this keeper chart because the price is still really good. But let me go and check what's happening to the used offer count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can see over the last 6 months, offer count was kind of hanging out right around. Actually, the last 6 months would be kind of looking at right around here. We're at 20, right around the
Right.
20ish mark,
Yeah.
and then now we're at double that. Actually,
Yeah.
almost double it, right?
Right.
But yeah, what are you seeing here in terms of sales with this book over time?
I mean, this there's still a ton of sales
Yeah.
continuously. So it whether it goes the price is high or price is low, this book is selling a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot, and then you can see kind of this used price has come down a little bit. One of those driving pressures is this new price has come down, and you can see it actually got down to about 45, stayed there for about a week or two, and then now it's back up to 60. The new price. Remember that the third party new price and also the Amazon new price, we tend to think of those as the ceiling prices. So it is unfortunate when you have the third party new sellers bring down that new price because it kind of brings down the ceiling for the used book. But also, what you guys have to realize that is it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stay like that. I mean, if you kind of just look at the new price, Victor, over time, has the new price been the same over time?
Oh, definitely not. Yeah, the third party new prices are all over the place, similar to the used price. So
Yeah,
they go up and down just similar to the used price.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So let's take a look at this book because it has an amazing sell-through rate. I mean,
it does.
uh, it looks to me like this is going to be a textbook of some sort. What would be some due diligence someone would probably want to do before they just like, yeah, let's go buy this book?
I mean, first up, a book that's that popular. Next
Yeah,
up, I need to check to see if it's counterfeit likely. Right, that's
right.
probably one of the first things I want to check on because I
Yeah.
want to keep my account safe.
So what you guys could do is you could just type in into Google books run counterfeit. You can just type in that, and you're gonna see this identify book counterfeit risk check. So all we gotta do is take the ISBN of this book. So there's a couple places you can grab it. The easiest way is just to grab it in the URL. It's gonna be this 10-digit number. But you could also go down to the product detail page, and let's see, I went past it. And you could also just type in, so there it is again, or you can even take this and just remove that dash space. But you're gonna go ahead and just copy this in here. Oh, that's not the right link. Why would we be doing this, by the way? Why would we be wanting to copy this ASIN and put it in this calculator?
Because you need to check to see whether or not the book is counterfeit, and the book run has a really great database of what books have been reported as counterfeit or not.
Right.
And also, when you put that in the URL like that, that's actually the most reliable way is in the URL because like people it users can't really change that, but they can change the bottom there on that page. So I usually like to look at the URL and
Yeah.
take the ISBN number from the top there.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And does this mean if it says unlikely, does that mean 100% guaranteed this book is not counterfeit?
No, I mean definitely not. It could mean that the book is so brand new that there's no data on it, so the
Right.
default is that it's unlikely,
Yeah.
or that there's still chances that the book could be counterfeit. So it's always best to check on your book when you receive it.
Yeah, all I'll say is that for any book that you're buying, especially for textbooks, you're gonna want it to say unlikely. It's gonna make you a little bit more confident that there just haven't been a lot of issues with this book with Amazon.
Right.
And if it says likely or highly likely, I would run for the hills. I wouldn't even think about buying that book because if it's likely or highly likely, that means the book's run has seen enough reported cases with Amazon that this book is counterfeit that you're really putting your account at risk if you decide to buy those books. So if you see likely or high likely, run for the hills. If you see unlikely, it doesn't guarantee, right? None of this is a guarantee. It's just a probability check, right?
Right.
It just says unlikely, then that would tell you, hey, this is a book that okay, it's probably going to be fine, right? Knock on wood. Don't come back and say Victor and Joe, you said that I can buy this
Yeah.
book, and what I mean, there's no way
Right.
that we would know without physically touching the book, comparing it to the publisher. All we're trying to do is, have you guys do your due diligence. I'm not buying books that say likely or highly likely to be counterfeit, nor is Victor. So you guys should also probably do the same thing. Okay. So are you worried about this increase in user offer count? Because this is a huge question people always have. Like, Victor, Joji, the offer count's rising. It's at a great price. Is it gonna stay there? What is your thought process right now on the current price versus the past prices, and then obviously with the offer count increasing?
I mean, this book. First off, the strongest thing it has for it is that it's just so much demand, and
Mhm.
so I have a lot of leeway for a book that has that much demand. Over here, the fact that it's kind of dropped that much, I want to see why. Right? Maybe probably maybe a few of the mega sellers are on this book, I'm guessing, and so I would want to like figure out why that it's dropped that much. It's either the mega sellers that are on this listing, or there's a new book of that. And the fact that this book is that old, that's probably not it. And
Yeah.
so it probably was that there was a lot of mega sellers and just downward pressure for a while, but it looks like it's kind of gone away.
Yeah,
And
I don't
yeah,
yeah, I don't see anyone with a bunch of in stock. I mean, so yeah, I mean, this is a book. I mean,
I
probably it's the
yeah,
downward pressure of the new price. I mean, there's 153 in stock, right? That's would
mm,
be my guess because think about it. This book was selling easily in the 70s, 80s.
yeah.
But the new prices were also in the hundreds and the 90s. And so whoever this person is that's come in with 100 new in stock, they've really affected the market. But 153 copies. How long would you predict that's going to sell out? Like obviously you don't know exactly, but you think it's going to take a decade for those to sell out? Do you think it's going to take like a week for them to sell out? It's going to take like a month for it? Like what would your guess
I
be?
mean, do you see how much demand that book has?
Yeah.
Maybe a month.
Yeah.
I'm probably guessing a month that probably will
Yeah.
sell out. Yeah.
Yeah, I might guess a little bit longer, but I don't think that worries me, especially due to the fact, like we talked about, that new price can vary a lot, right?
Right.
So, would you be picking up a copy of this? It would be, let's see, a total of 31.41 is what you'd be paying for this. And if so, kind of what would be your price that you'd want to sell this at?
I'm thinking it's going to get back to like an average price, which was about right there. So about $65, I'm
Yeah, I
guessing,
would
is
agree.
probably where I would kind of feel
Yeah.
at. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that'd be a very conservative selling price for a book like this. I
Yeah.
do think that it's gonna recover even with this offer count, and just due to the
Mhm.
fact that this book sells so quickly and there aren't any mega sellers on this. There's also, like we mentioned, not a new edition. Came out in 1997.
Yeah.
Is there any difference, Victor, between 2024 and 2023 and 2022? This book came out
For
in
a book for
1997.
a book that's old, no.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
not really, right? So, yeah, this is a book that, I would say probably pricing at 65 would be pretty good, but again, there is historical data to suggest it could sell for more than that, so, definitely a book you'd wanna check out. Shall we continue here?
yeah, sounds good.
Okay, I really like this next book that I see. By the way, it's a BookMine score of 4. So, again, these books with a score of 4 are barely making it on, right? There's just
Right.
enough going for them, Victor, that we want you to look at it, and by
Somebody
the
already
way,
bought it.
yeah, someone already bought it. You can
Yeah.
actually see that this book dropped in price from 37 down to $12, and a BookMine user likely is the person who bought this because it showed up on the first page, it's just refreshed, and
Yeah.
also, there's a lot of people using this right now, like, a lot of people using BookMine, right? Because it's free,
Right. Right. Right.
right? So remember that the trial does end here pretty soon, and then it's, when are we cutting off access to everyone? When does it become, only a member-only subscriber thing?
Yeah. So good question. So tomorrow night at midnight, basically we're cutting off access. So that this what you're seeing right here will no longer be, and basically it'll just be a link to BookMine. And so there's that. But also this morning I got a message from Michael, who's on our chat here,
Uh-huh.
and he said that he bought 65 books already from BookMine, and he's loving it. So I was a great way to wake up and realize how successful BookMine is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is a book, Victor. I don't even have to look at it. I just would buy this book immediately. What will like again that would be if this book was still at the price of 1614. The reason why it's not there is because someone realized the same thing about it, right?
yeah, right.
But why am I like this is a no-brainer?
Because the entire year it's been well over like 40, $50. And so the fact it's 16, yeah, the worst case scenario, you're gonna sell it for $50. That's
Yeah.
that's
That's
that's a
that's like
no-brainer.
the worst case scenario, right? That's
Right,
like
right.
the right, and
Exactly.
there's even buy box prices that go higher than that, but again, we're thinking about buying undervalued books, selling them for the true historical data, so we
Yeah.
can kinda
Yeah.
what's also another reason why I was like, I don't even need to look to see if there's a new edition. I don't even need to see if there's mega sellers on the listing, like, I literally knew that in 1 second just from looking at the cover of this book, and how did I know that?
I imagine you're thinking the book looks a little seasoned. And so a
Yeah, it looks a
1991
little old. Yeah,
a
looks a little seasoned.
1991 book You know, you don't have to worry about that. Even if there was new editions, that's fine. This book is not affected by it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there is something to say for subject matter and being able to look at a book and know if this is a book about a specific niche or if it's
Hmm.
a book about college or a book about high school. That's something that will come with experience. I just knew right off the bat, Love is in the Earth, a kaleidoscope of crystals. There's no way that this is a fifth edition, sixth edition, seventh edition. This is a totally niche book.
Yeah.
One thing I love is it has amazing reviews. Look at that. It's got 100%, 44 ratings. So
Wow.
people love this book. And
Oh
that's
yeah.
reflected in the sell-through price. We don't even have rating and review count on, but you could also see over time how, um, how the review count has gone up.
Yeah.
It's got a high I mean, it's got a 5 rating, so that's amazing, but $16 is what BookMine said we could have picked it up for. So 16, 14. For me, I think this is an easy sell, 49.99, and I
Yep.
would even go as far to say that that's probably gonna sell easily within 2 months, probably even
Oh
sooner
yeah.
than that,
Yep. I agree
and
with
that'd
you.
be 100% ROI for that book. Is there
Perfect.
potential, Victor, for going a little bit higher on this book, or would you just say, just get it in there, sell for its historical value, and just sell it and move on? What would you
So
say?
what I want to do is set my minimum at $50. And then if
Yeah,
it sells for more than that, great bonus. And if it doesn't, hey, I sold it for 50, got my 100% return on investment and ready to buy the next book. So yeah,
yeah,
a minimum is 50. My max would probably be close to maybe almost $100 probably.
yeah.
And then
And
we'll
this
let
book is
the
amazing because I don't think
Mhm.
it's actually been cheaper than this price in the last year. Maybe there was one or two times for like literally less than a day, kind of what happened here. But
Yeah.
I mean, this book has never been this cheap for a sustained period of time. Like, there's never been that long, except for maybe back here, what we could say in 2019, 2020, which it was a little bit cheaper, but also at a higher offer count, right? You can see
Right.
it's a lower offer count now, which again is a reason as to why the price is a little bit higher. But that's a great book. And why is it so cool that that was a score of 4, Victor?
Why is it? I mean, it just made it, right? So it's one of the books. If it's as long as it's a 4, it made it on on BookMine. So I think that's probably the coolest part is that even those books are great books,
Right.
and you shouldn't sleep on them.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay, let's see. We also have a really interesting book. We've got a bunch of green here, right? So we've got a bookmine score of 5 here. We haven't talked about this feature here, which is going to be the sellout meter. Can you kind of give us a little bit of a education about what does stable mean? What does sellout likely? What does sellout very likely? What do those indicators mean?
So what we did was we dug into the data and we looked at the last basically 30 days of this book and said that if this was to repeat again this coming month, basically that book is more than likely going to sell out. If it turns green, that's what we're saying. There's so many sales that if this keeps happening, this book is about to sell out. Wow. I mean, I'm stopping here. This is a great book.
Yeah.
The fact that the used offer count has dropped substantially, but that's what we're saying. The
Yep.
used offer count, being the amount of sales, if it keeps on happening, the used sellers will have sold out, and more than likely, then the price will spike.
Yeah, you can see that
Yeah,
the offer count today is pretty much the lowest it's ever been. It's right
yeah,
around 5 here. And going back to what Victor said, I mean, this was an amazing textbook season for this book, right? Albeit Amazon's price was 46, right? That is going to be the ceiling price, but there are so many sales happening in the recent past, and the offer count is so low that we're like, hey guys, you gotta
yep.
check this book out.
Uh-huh.
Now, what would be insane about this book, Victor, if we had a little alert here under AMZNOOS alert? What would be kind of insane with this book?
Okay, so whenever that turns green, when the Amazon out of stock alert happens or it turns green, basically we're letting you know Amazon just went out of stock within like the last couple of days. You need to go and check out this book. Basically,
Yeah,
that's what we're letting you know, that it's within the last like hours, within the last day. And because
yeah.
whenever Amazon goes out of stock of a book like this, the new price and the used price will start spiking, because the only thing holding this price down is Amazon right now and
Right.
Amazon's price.
46, exactly, right. This is like, if this went out of stock and this was at a low offer count and this was at a low price relative to past historical sales, I mean, this would be a winning book. This would be like an amazing book, right?
Right, right,
And with this sort of demand, like if there was no Amazon on this listing for this book, like starting in January, I would guarantee the price of this book would probably be in the 60s or higher because of the
right,
fact that it has so much demand and the off count so low. So so we do have to still understand that Amazon is on the listing, Victor, right? And we have
right.
to make sure that we're being smart about what we price that. Like, am I gonna think that I'm selling this book for $60 in used condition?
No, no,
Yeah,
yeah. Whatever the max price on Amazon is, you're gonna be able to sell it for maybe 5% less than that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
for a book that has a higher or sorry, book that has a much better sales rank, like a book that has a good sales rank like this, you could kind of squeeze up there. Like these guys are getting in the low 40s, which is
Yeah.
probably understandable. There's enough people coming to the listing that there's probably enough people willing to save $5 to get this book, in used condition rather than new condition. But again, an amazing deal in terms of the current price of the book. It's going to be a little bit hard to squeeze margin out of this book, though, right, Victor? Let's see.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So what we could do is we could just type in, I believe the 14.99 is the yeah, 14.99 is the all-in price for this book.
Okay.
And I would
You'd
what would
probably
you
sell
say
it for
is
40, right?
yeah, I would say probably
Yeah.
sell for 39.99, which is
Yeah.
I mean, actually not too bad. I mean, it's a $10 profit right there.
Yeah.
72% right. And
72%. That
yeah,
for me, that's good. I'm
yeah,
buying that. I'm buying that
yeah.
book. If
Okay.
it's still there, I would recommend you guys do.
Yeah, let's actually just
Yeah.
take a look at what the offers look like because it looks like it is from a prime seller. And it looks like okay, this is really interesting. I think this is gonna be a great this is gonna be really awesome educational piece right here. What does it mean when we see this person with 1,000 plus in stock?
So that's like a placeholder. I don't know. I don't know why it's in there like that. But basically, that seller does not have 1,000 books. They just stuck it in there like that.
Right.
And yeah, it does. It happens sometimes, but not as often as when I'm
Yeah.
normally seeing books.
Yeah. So normally, so if this definitely said one, then we'd be more than happy to
Yeah,
want to go ahead and buy it. Now, there's also other things that you guys have to think about on your own, right? This is a person with not very good feedback listing in acceptable condition. So there's that, right? There's a lot of factors that, at the end of the day, Victor, that come into okay, are we actually going to buy the book? So everything else kind of checked out
yeah,
about this book, but then you're gonna have to do further research on your own, right? BookMine can't tell you like, oh, this person's got terrible feedback and they're listing in acceptable condition, and in the condition listing it says that has chewed corner. Like so, there's limitations to what BookMine can do. Like we said, we're trying to get you guys like 80% of the way there. We're trying to like significantly simplify the sourcing process, but um,
I think do you have like a feedback rating that you don't go under? Like you wouldn't buy from a seller if they have a feedback under
good question.
a certain point?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I tend to want to stick in the mid 90s and higher,
Yeah,
specifically for acceptable copies, right? If someone
yeah,
is in good condition and they've got like, high 80s or low 90s, I'll be okay to buy them if they're in good condition. I tend to not want to buy those books if they're in acceptable condition because they probably are in acceptable condition, which means
yeah.
that there's going to be issues with them. But Victor, can you talk to people about like what about some of those Goodwills out there who have like 97, 98% feedback and they list books in acceptable condition? What about those books?
Yeah, I'm buying those all day. Matter of fact, that's probably the majority of the people, majority of the sellers I buy from are Goodwills with 97% or higher at
Yep.
acceptable or good. Sometimes I'm buying acceptable from Goodwill at 97%, then good sellers at 92 because
Yep.
that Goodwill has a history of selling books at a much, they're definitely undergrading their books. And so lots
Yep.
of times I end up getting a what they say is an acceptable book at very good. So,
Very good.
yeah.
All right, we're getting short on time. Is there anyone else who's commented? If not, we're just gonna keep rolling.
No one else has commented. I
Sweet.
think they're just watching us.
They're just enjoying. All right,
Yeah.
there's a number of fascinating books here that showed up that I want to take a peek at. So let's just go and dive into them really quickly.
Sounds good.
So we just took a look at this book. Let's take a look at this one. It's got a score 7, meaning it's got a great price relative to its past historical sales. So let's take a deeper dive into it.
Okay.
Looks like we just saw a price drop from 67 to 28. So that's a pretty massive drop. You can see there's sustained sales in the 50, which is about, a double what we see the current use price at.
Mhm.
We've got some historical sales in November at the $70. But again, those are the lowest use prices. The buy box prices were up to the 130s. We're not saying that that's what the book's value is, but that's just a factual statement that at that point in time, this book was for a sustained period of time buy boxing for about double what the lowest use price was.
Right.
Now we do see historical sales as high as 170 in the past.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
so we're not saying that that's going to happen factually or it's going to happen, but what we're saying is this book has a lot of amazing things going for it in terms of price. Um, now you can see offer count is kind of right around like 17. It looks like over the last 3 or 4 months, it's kind of gone up a little bit, but has come back down. Is this a book you'd be interested in buying here?
I mean, there's a lot of demand there, and it's down quite a bit, and it has a proven record around 70. So,
Right.
I mean, yeah, let's see if there's any good condition books at around the price that we're looking for.
Yeah. So we've got two here for 28, 26. We got your online bookstore and you got a Marty store. One really good sign is seeing a couple copies and then a big differential or big gap between the third offer or the fourth
Yeah.
offer. So that's a
Yeah.
really good sign. So going back to buying these, would we be buying these in acceptable conditions?
Uh,
75%, 91%.
yeah, I wouldn't. I
Yeah, I
would
wouldn't.
pass on both of
I'd
those.
pass
Yeah.
on these as well. If this were Goodwill, 96% acceptable, okay, I'll go and pop on it. Um, and again, this is a book that has historical data that could sell up to 170. More realistically, I'm going to be shooting for probably in the 70 range. So if we're looking at a 28 as a buy price and like 69.99, we're looking at just under 100% ROI.
Yeah.
But again, a book that over a long period of time, Victor has held value.
Oh
So
yeah.
you can see
Yeah.
2020, 2021, 2022. I mean, its used price has pretty much always been in the 30s to the 40s and has had periods of time where it's higher than that. It's even been out of stock for a while. And Victor, I mean, what happens when this book goes out of stock and you have it?
Which is one of the reasons why we have that one of the features on book mining, because if you're the only person who has that book, you can demand whatever you want. Basically,
Yeah,
double the price that just was listed for.
right.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and you gotta do within reason. Like
Oh
obviously,
yeah.
the max you'd probably want to try is like in the 170s because you'd probably want to sell it for what the history has proven that it could sell for.
Hmm.
Like you don't want to come in here and say list it for $1,000, right? That would be
Right.
absurd. But you should be thinking, okay, well, what's the potential of this book based upon its past
And then you
history?
go back to the history of it and then see that. So we have a question from Gary.
Yeah.
I'll come across a new textbook that sells for, let's say, $80. No lower offers. I'd like to set a tracking for $25 in case a newbie accidentally lists it for that low. Is that a flawed thinking?
Okay. So if a new textbook comes out, is that what he's saying? If a new textbook comes out,
Yeah.
he'll track
Yeah.
it for a little low price.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, how many books can you track with Keeple? Let's start with that, Victor. How many can you track with your own account?
5,000 books.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're a serious bookseller, you would eventually track 5,000 books, right?
Yeah. Right.
So you have to think about you got limited real estate. The way I think about it, Gary and everyone else is I think about you got limited real estate. So you should really be tracking books that you think are likely to hit that tracker in the future and are going to be great buys if they do hit it likely.
Right.
Um, one way that I also like to do it, Victor, is whenever I sell books, I like to go back in and say, "Hey, what did I buy the book for? Would I sell it at?" And I like to kind of track it as sort of a way to replan books into the future, right? There
Right.
are tons of books out there, Victor, that I bought,
Over and
in
over and over again.
2022 and they sold a few
Right.
times. I bought
Exactly.
them in 2023, they sold. Now 2024, same thing's gonna happen, right?
Right.
So, what's your strategy like? Would you be tracking a book like that? What's your strategy for tracking?
Yeah, no, I have this kind of similar strategy where I think of myself almost like a grocery store, right? These are the items. I mean, these are the books I want to keep in my or bookstore or whatever you want to have,
Right.
and I want to always only have those. So if when I'm tracking a book, basically I desire that book. I think
Right.
it's a great book. It goes up and down, and soon enough I'll have it in my store. So those are the books I'm tracking, and if you track too many books, you're going to get overwhelmed and end up with nothing because you're going to get all these emails and actually never actually click on them. So
Right.
I would be a little bit pickier.
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at this book. It looks interesting. It says a great price, $20.30 all in. Got a BookMine
Okay.
score of 7. I mean, I can just take one look at this book, Victor. This is not gonna be a textbook. This looks like an older book. It looks like it's probably gonna be a rare or niche book. But let's just go and take a look at this book. So we've got a price drop from 35 down to 16.
Mhm.
What are you kind of seeing with this book at historical sales? Let's start with actually the most recent 6 months, and then we can go further beyond that.
So, I mean, it had one sale right there, kind of early on in 35, and then it kind of moved up the used price, and there was still sales. So, it actually has a proven record of selling at 78 and then at 115. So, those are two checks. Okay, so you're like, all right, so this book can sell for 115. It has sold recently in the 70s, and it to me, this book is when the people need it, they're gonna buy it. So,
Right.
whatever price it is, there's no like this book gets down to $20, it's not going to increase the amount of demand. So it's one of these books that when the person needs it, they'll buy it.
Yeah, this is kind of a book that just thinking about it like a logical human being. If this is something that you want and you decide you want, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna go ahead and look at it right now, right? And and they might come to the listing and go, hey, this is an old book, right? I mean, yeah, it makes sense. This book is $60. Let me just buy it. Or it makes sense. This book is
Yeah.
$100, right? It seems like a book, like Victor said, someone's not coming to this listing going, it's a little too
Yeah.
expensive. Let me come back. It's like I want this book. Kind of let me go buy it now. Interestingly, we have those high sales, and then in the past, it's kind of right around that $20. So looking further back in the past, this would probably make me a little bit more hesitant to wanna buy it because that used price isn't staying consistently so high, but again, you have factual data to show it could sell for that high. Um, but just a really, really interesting book there.
So
So,
Gary said things. Also, Rob has a question.
yeah.
Where do you set a price when the used buy box is significantly higher than the lowest used offer price?
Ooh, really good question. So this is going to depend on the type of book a lot. So let's just start with what's the definition between the buy box price and the lowest used price. So what would we call that difference in price? So we can kind of see it a little bit here. Used prices in the 20s, and then we have
Yeah.
these little pink triangles, which is the buy box at 27. So Victor, what would you say? What's the definition between that little differential in price?
I mean, that's the prime bump.
It's the prime
A
bump.
lot of people
Prime
call
gap.
that the prime bump. Yeah, the prime gap. Yeah.
Yeah, so the prime bump. So essentially, it's just going to be the fact that Amazon likes to feature offers that are from FBA sellers due to shipping speed.
Hmm.
Now, what would you say, Victor? Right, just thinking about it logically, the bigger that gap gets, do you think it's more or less reasonable that the book in the buy box is going to sell?
Yeah, I mean, so you're giving a customer a choice between 2 days and 6 days, and so if the price is too far apart, they're gonna pick 6 days, right? And
Right.
and if it's kind of close, they're gonna pick 2 days. So you got to like
Okay.
figure that out. The only time where I can see that really expanding quite a bit, if it's something's about to happen, that book represents some type of holiday that's about to happen, and they
Right.
need that book quickly. Like for instance, Christmas. That book is going to spike in the FBA because people want that book before Christmas. Like they can't wait
Right.
6 days for that book. So
Yeah. The way
yeah.
that I think about it is the bigger that price differential, the less
Mhm.
likely it is that that sell is probably going to happen through
Yeah.
the buy box. With that said, one thing that impacts a lot, like Victor just mentioned, is seasonality, which is why during textbook season, books tend to see the largest prime gaps because people need the book sooner. There's some pressure for them needing to get the book right at a specific time. Um, the other thing I think about is that as the used prices drop, you should probably see that buy box price tethered to it. So you can kind of see this book started. This is a different book, right? It started dropping in price. Its buy box price though,
Mhm.
it's kind of it was still hanging out there. But you can kind of see over time, eventually that buy box price, is tethered back down to the lowest used price. For books that sell very frequently, there's going to be more people going to the listing who get to make that decision. Hey, do I want to spend $20, get it in 6 days, or spend an additional $20 or pay $40 and get it in 2 days? The more people coming to the listing, the more likely it is to happen. The fewer people going to the listing, the less likely it is to happen. But going back to what Victor says, it's just kind of an experience thing. You look at a book, you go, is this a book that I think could potentially sell for, a little bit of a prime bump? But one thing that I think we should be clear about, Victor, is what is BookMine not trying to do?
So good point here, because that's the point I really disliked when I first was starting getting into books, because everyone was talking about, okay, well, there's the low merchant fulfilled price and then the FBA price. If you can find a huge difference, those are the books you buy. And to me,
Right.
that never made sense. Why are
Yeah.
you what why are you doing that? Like, you have to look at actual the value of the book, because if that book never sells for that higher price, who cares if it's $100 more than the actual
Right.
merchant fulfilled price? You
Right.
actually got to do your due diligence to see what the actual intrinsic value of the book is, and then buy it under that value. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
you're not going to see those sort of books here on BookMine because we're looking for books that actually hold some decent historical value. But
Mhm.
that's the same problem that I ran into with other sourcing softwares. Is that I mean, you can just look on the website, like the actual business models, like explain. So buy a low merchant offer, sell for the buy box price, the first prime offer. And often it's like buy this book that's worth $6. Like literally you can expand the data for the last like decade. It's worth like $6. It's never gone up. Buy for $6. It just so happens the buy box is 35. Buy for 6, sell for 35. Victor and I just found that when we were starting out that just wasn't something that was sustainable. And that's why I decided to stop using it. And that's why when we decided to build the software together, we're like, Victor, we've got to find undervalued books.
Yeah.
Because the way that you make money in arbitrage throughout the entire history of the world is you buy something for less than it's worth and you sell it for market value. You sell it for what it's worth and then you profit the difference. The other model, it's not that it couldn't work sometimes, it's just that it's not a sustainable model to buy something that's always worth $6 and then sell for 35 just due to the fact that there's a prime bump right now. let's talk about price tanking on books like that as well. If people are seeing that book, right, on another software, Victor,
Right. Yeah.
what's likely to happen with that book if 3 or 4 or 5 people buy that book at $6 and then send it in at 35?
Unfortunately, they advertise that, right? They show the books that are the hugest difference between them. So 5 or 6 people will see that book. Oh wow, I can buy this book for $6, and the FBA price is 35. I have to sell it for 35. So they're gonna buy it. There's gonna be like 4 or 5 people selling. They're gonna buy it, and I'll list it for 35. And each one of them are gonna start worrying because none of them sell at 35. So it's gonna go to
Yeah.
34. They're gonna keep pricing each other down, and then think, oh, this book selling is for the birds, right? Nobody's going to actually make any money from this because they're going to have to keep pricing the book down until it
Yeah.
actually gets to the intrinsic value, which is probably like $10, $12, and
Yep.
then sell it for that price, and then be frustrated that that software geared them or showed them books like that.
Right.
And
And then the other
that's
comment
why we
that
never wanted to do something like that.
the
Go
other
ahead.
comment that we'll get as well from people who are selling like that is stop price taking, stop going down. But the you gotta understand that there's gonna be a regression to the mean. There's gonna be a regression back to the historical value of the book. And so that's why a lot of times with those softwares, it's not going to be something that long term you're gonna see that's sustainable. Just due to the fact that there's a lot of price tanking, which is really not price tanking. It's really just the book coming back to its true intrinsic value.
Right.
And so all we're trying to do with BookMine is show you books that are below their true intrinsic value and then go ahead and find books like that. Now, there is a little bit of nuance here with seasonality, right? So let's take a look at
A
so
high
let's
school
take a look
book.
at this book here, Victor. So
Yeah.
what kind of book would you say this is, just
I
from looking
mean,
at the picture?
definitely a high school book. I
Right.
could right away tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this we have book type here, and we're not perfect on book type because it's actually very difficult to be 100% accurate with
Hmm.
coding all these. So we've classified this as all year, but this is definitely a high school book, and that's why we also need the human eye, right, to go back because you could tell right away that this is a high school book. But anyways, let's take a look at this high school book over time. What's something that you're seeing in this previous season?
So I mean, the book March, April, May, June was like $2, $3, probably with shipping about $6. And then during August, which is when high school book season starts, the book really spikes to like $30, $40.
It
Yeah,
actually goes out of stock. I mean, it went out of
yeah,
stock
yeah,
on
yeah.
August 16th, which is like right at prime time for high school textbook season, which is why this would have been an amazing book because even the new third party sellers went out of stock at 20. So there was potential to sell this book for quite a bit. Now, are you liking this book when you look at its past historical high school textbook season?
So when we when I saw a year, got really
Yeah,
excited. When we zoomed out, I now see, okay, so this book is hyper sensitive to how many offers there is. So
right.
if this use offer count kind of stays about that 20 to 30 range, oh, so it's already spiking past that. Okay,
Yeah,
but if we get down to about 20 to 30, I'm gonna purchase that book. But at this
right.
higher rate, I'm not. So I
Yeah.
would wait until I would basically push this buck off until like March or April. And if it gets to around 20, I'm gonna buy it. If not, I'm gonna pass on it.
Yeah, I would agree. I would absolutely agree. So this is something that looked like it had a lot of potential for
Hmm.
having a high school textbook season. We looked further back in time, which is again something Bookmine can't do. But we're seeing not amazing data. I mean, it sells. It definitely sells. It's just the
Right.
used prices don't spike, and so we're again trying to repeat past history, and that's not something that we think would be great. Um,
Rosemary said good morning.
Good morning, Rosemary. You're kind of at
Yeah.
the end of our
Yeah.
live stream here, but good morning. Good to see you here. So I think we could probably start heading out here soon. But what we wanted just to remind you again is that you guys could use BookMine for free over the next like 36 hours. So if you've never tried out BookMine, go ahead and enter your email address. Again, the February 4th at midnight, 11:59 p.m. PST, we're going to cut off access to quite a few people who are using it and are buying a lot of books.
Yeah.
And what's going to be amazing, Victor, is that because we are premium software, we realize the value, and we also want our members who realize the value to have the most access to it. So if you do become a member, there's going to be obviously a lot fewer people because now you have to pay for it. But those are people who get to see the real value of BookMine here, and
Yeah.
I'm really excited for those people because what is going to happen maybe a couple days after the members join? What are we going to be doing?
I mean, we're definitely gonna host our first like welcome with the to the whole group, right?
Yep.
We're gonna welcome everybody in. Let them know they can ask us any questions. We're gonna kind of guide them through BookMine and to let them know that they're not alone. We're here to
Yep.
help them out. So
Yep.
yeah.
Um, There is also an option if you guys are interested in a mentorship. So basically twice monthly, that would be twice per month or every other week. Victor and
Yeah.
I are going to be meeting with people who paid for that tier. That's just for people who want a little bit more support. They want to ask specific questions. They want to network with other people who are doing this. This is a very lonely business. I don't know about you, Victor, but of all the people who I talk to in my daily life, none of them sell books and really explain what's going on. Like, I tell them I sell books on Amazon, and they're like, "Oh, so you sell those Kindle books or you" like, they have no idea, right? So it's kind of
Right.
a lonely thing.
It is much more difficult, and then, you get emails from Amazon, you worry about it, and you don't really have a community to kind of, bounce ideas off of, or
Right,
to know whether or not these things are serious or not. And so I think to have two people who have been selling books for years, I think that's really a huge value add for you guys, and we're both happy to do it. And yeah, we're going to start that really soon. Again, 2 times a month we'll be meeting with you guys.
yeah. So if you guys found this video helpful and you guys felt like you picked up a lot of gold nuggets, I mean, it's going to be even better in that mentorship group because everyone camera will be on. We'll be able to see each other's face. We'll be able
Right.
to interact with each other. Right now, you guys are limited in how you can ask questions. I mean, all you can do is type a question, and that's it, right? There's no like face to face interaction. So it really just depends where you're at. I mean, the software, in my opinion, is a one of one. Even though there's other sourcing softwares out there, there is nothing like it at all. Like I
Sure.
wouldn't even compare
Correct.
it to anything else.
That's right.
That's also why the price is premium because we're very different. And so very confident and very excited about it. And again, feel free to check out the trial. And if you're not there, Victor, like let's say someone's not there yet, what would we
Yeah.
recommend?
Oh, I mean and I've gotten that. Hey, the price point right now is a little high for me. What should I do? And immediately I'm like, okay, well, get all our free content. I mean, I have a Facebook group that is 5 years old. There's tons of data, tons of information there. Get all you can from that. Learn as much as you can. Then start. Then looking at Joji's YouTube channel. There's a ton of Keepa data, Keepa videos in there, and get some early wins. Start
Yep.
building up some money from those early wins. Then have some money, and then you get a sourcing tool like BookMine that
Yep.
really will help you then get from level 2 to level 5 or level 2 to level 10 actually.
Right.
So
And
yeah.
you can also go to the BookMine. So you can go to my YouTube channel. There's tons of content there. I've got plenty of people behind the scenes
Yeah.
who said, "Hey, they've shown me like I've been able to scale and grow just on the free content." And so Victor and I really truly think that if you're excited about book selling and you're committed, that you could blow it out of the water just with the free content. But the
Right.
really cool thing is that as you guys get better at your foundational keeper knowledge, you'll get to see how insanely awesome BookMine is for someone who's a little bit right now not as confident
Seasoned.
or
Yeah.
is kind of a little bit weaker right now in their keep of foundation knowledge. They're kind of like,
Mm.
oh, this looks like a cool software, but you won't really appreciate the value until you actually become a keep a master, right? Because
That's right.
yeah. So, anyways, enough of that
One more
said.
thing. So
Yep.
Bob said he just signed up and he said, "Let's
Nice.
go."
Let's go, Bob. So we'll be
Yeah.
welcoming you in, once we launch in a few days, and we're again really excited because, like I said, we are a premium software. It is going to take all the people using it, and it's really going to sieve it down to the people who are most committed, and those are the people, Victor, that we're really wanting to push further, right? Those are
We're
the
really
people we
excited,
want to,
guys.
yeah.
Yep,
So
exactly.
so in any case, if you're not there yet, that's absolutely fine. Check out the free content. We think you can scale to the point where you could use this in the future. But we really appreciate you guys. All we want to do is add value. Make sure you check out the website. Again, BookMine Academy coming soon, blog coming soon as well. If you guys want to know the testimonials of real people, I mean, we've got tons of testimonials. Victor and I reached out to people and said, hey, how's it going? These are people who are just really excited about BookMine. And so if you want to read some testimonials, I mean, we're not here trying to scam anyone, right? We're just trying to help people
Exactly.
out. So
Yep.
sound good? Victor, you
Sounds
good?
good. I'm
All right.
good. That was great. I
When's the next time we're gonna go live?
I wish tomorrow. No,
Yeah.
the next time we're going to go live is on our launch day. So hopefully you
Yeah.
guys are excited about that. We've really been pushing this for months. I mean, you're talking about we were working on Christmas Eve together to put
Yeah.
this
On,
software
on
together.
literally Christmas Eve.
No joke. We were together, working 8-9 p.m. On Christmas Eve. So we're really excited to bring this to you guys on February 5th, and we're gonna be live for what, an hour and a half,
Hour
and
yeah, it's
basically
probably
just
like at least an hour. We're gonna just be
yeah.
welcoming people from the community. We'll ask questions. We're really trying to do is also bring some members who are already BookMine members. There's already people who see the value and have already joined, and we're wanting to bring some of those people on. Because, like, for example, Michael, he says he's already bought 65 books. Right?
Yeah,
So he's already seen the value in it, right? So we want to get people
exactly.
who are really excited about it and see the value as well. So
Yeah, we're gonna hopefully bring a few people on,
yep,
ask them how they're using it and how they're enjoying it, and yeah, basically a celebration,
yep,
basically that we're bringing it to the market. So yeah,
yep.
that's the next time you'll see us live.
Sounds good. So we'll see you guys then. Check us out Monday. That's gonna be at 4:30 p.m. PST on my YouTube channel here, and that's all we got for you. So have a good one, guys, and we'll see you in the next live. See ya.
Thanks, guys.